plain potatoes with patterns. Isn't that such an odd name for a DVD? But it's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to play potatoes, Mr. Potato Head, with patterns. Now here's the differences. Just like Mr. Potato Head, and we have all these parts, and we can put these parts in all these different places, Mr. Potato Head has a finite number of places you can put his nose. I mean, yeah, you could put it in his hat, but I don't know that you would really want that. But clothing patterns have an infinite way that we can actually decide to put collars, armholes, sleeves. So we're going to look today at patterns and really understand how to mix and match the pieces to where it's just fun, to where you save a lot of time, you minimize how many patterns you actually use, and that will save you a lot of time. To me, garments are all about the fabric. All about the fabric. When I was young, my mother used to say, oh, the garment is all about the fabric. And I would say, no, 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 no. Let's go buy the pattern first. And then I wanted the exact same fabric that was on the front of that pattern. And it took her a few years to convince me that really the fabric should come first and that the pattern should be all about making the most of that fabric. So here it is years later, where now I see beautiful fabric and I really want to make the most of it. And so I buy my fabric and then wait to select an appropriate garment that really shows that fabric off the very best it can. So today we're going to do the pattern work. The fabric choices are up to you. And as we know, as we choose fabrics, there's just so much personality and differences in fabric. So there's no right and wrongs. It's simply a matter of how we pair them up with patterns. So I really want you to think about when you buy a pattern, why am I buying this pattern? There's two reasons we buy patterns. The first reason is because we want a pattern that fits. We buy the pattern for fit. The second reason is styling. We buy the pattern because we see some detail or some bit of styling that we just love about the pattern. But before you buy your next pattern, I want you to think about, why am I buying this pattern? And there's no wrong answers. It's simply, if you're buying it for fit, maybe you already have the fit in another pattern. And if you're buying it for styling, then maybe you have something similar that you could use the styling from that pattern. And we're going to show you today how to mix the fit and the styling together. Now again, there's no wrong answers. I'm a pattern company. I want you to buy all the patterns you ever want to in your lifetime. But I really want you to get great garments out of what you buy rather than just accumulating them. So today we're going to talk about utilizing them, not just accumulating them. We know that if we sometimes have too much, we just don't seem to really utilize them as much as if we kind of streamline. The jackets, I'm going to put a shawl collar of 1750 onto 1850. 1850, this is actually, I put a shawl collar on here. This is what it looks like with the shawl collar. But the actual base pattern has no collar at all. It's just a V-neck. So 1850 is this pattern right here. And so again, all I need is the fronts and the backs. I'll compare the backs this time just so that you get a version of what it looks like. Actually, that's the back. This is the front. So you can see 1850 has actually no collar at all. The neckline has just been lowered. When I get into 1750, it has a shawl collar. So all I need is these fronts. There's my shawl collar. I'm going to align center fronts together. Now when you turn these over, if you can't see center front, just mark center front on this back piece, just so that you can easily see center front, so you can easily align them together, and then you can see the base of this neck comes in here. So when I do this, now I just add this onto here, and I just start tracing and go around. And now as I take this away, this piece will have that shawl collar on it. And actually I did it just so you'd kind of get an idea as to what it would look like, and there it is. So let me show you the base piece, which is this. You can see that it's right there. It's traced on. But by the time I added this piece onto it, it gave me the shawl collar. So that I drew that shawl collar on a little bit. Now all of this part of the shawl collar is all styling and design, how wide I want it, how far I want it to roll back. So if we go back to this garment, I didn't want a really wide collar, so I didn't add as much for the width. And again, that's all styling too, and you get to answer all those questions as to what you want to do and how wide you want to make it. But those are really good questions to ask yourself, because you'll learn more and more about styling as you go along. And a lot of us, if I were to say, how wide do you want your shawl collar, you'd look at me and say, I have no clue. So it's a good thing to do. You'll have questions during the process, but don't be afraid of the questions and just keep going all the way through. So definitely we want to say happy sewing from Silhouette Patterns.